I'm Bob Bolton from the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and this is Alaska Voices, a place for communities to connect through conversation in order to build a better tomorrow for Alaskans and the world.
Originally, I grew up in Gakona, Alaska,
Tyonek,
Egypt,
Idaho,
Rampart,
St. Lawrence Island,
St. Paul.
And I'm here with my student,
my science buddy,
my teacher,
my homie.
I'm his daughter.
My name is Taylor Gofstein. I am 23 years old. I'm in Fairbanks, Alaska, here talking with my friend and mentor.
My name is Martin Miller. I am also here in Fairbanks, Alaska, talking with my friend and mentee, Taylor Gofstein.
I am a graduate student at the University of Alaska Fairbanks working on my PhD. I study biodegradation of petroleum contaminants, which means looking at the microorganisms that naturally exist in soil, seawater, and other environments, and their ability to break down petroleum contaminants such as crude oil and diesel. The reason they're able to do that is because all a microorganism cares about is getting a carbon source. They are not picky eaters like you or me. They don't care about their carbs or their protein, just a carbon source. And it just so happens that oil is very full of hydrocarbon compounds that they're able to degrade. The reason I am speaking to you today is because I have met you through Toastmasters. I was not able to public speak about a year ago. I went to my first committee meeting and stuttered and sputtered in front of 4 people that I already knew. And I decided, that's not the face of a professional. I can't go to conferences like this. So I joined Toastmasters, where I met you, and that's allowed me to be able to find my voice.
Taylor, what got you interested in science?
The first memory I have of being interested in science, I was about 5 years old, and the first book that I read by myself belonged to one of my older brothers. It was a children's encyclopedia of the human body and how it works, and I found it absolutely fascinating. It even went into the reproductive system, and I effectively taught myself where babies came from at 5 years old from reading this book, although I insisted at the time that it was pronounced womb, and was arguing with my mother, who said, "No, dear, it's pronounced womb." I continued to do science fair projects throughout school. By the time I reached the 8th grade, I was setting stuff on fire in the backyard, studying flame propagation of different fuels such as gunpowder or lighter fluid, which my parents encouraged very much.
How did you get from that into specializing in bioremediation?
My second year of high school, I started getting into biotechnology. I took a biotechnology course, and that was actually, I think, my first significant mentor in the sciences. I had a teacher that pushed me to do anything I wanted. We decided to work on biodegradation of oil spills, and then this spill in the Gulf of Mexico happened a couple months later. And I could never have predicted that I'd end up actually working on oil biodegradation years later in graduate school.
Tell me about your independent study in high school. You said this is when you first considered yourself to become a scientist.
Yes. I was studying a marsh grass population that was replanted and determining if the replanted portion was genetically different or distinct from the original population. So I started working with my high school teacher, who was very, very dedicated to helping me reach this goal. She used to drive me to the university where I did the research after school every day. I would be there from 3 o'clock to 9, 10 o'clock at night working on this project. I learned to extract DNA and do some pretty advanced procedures for a high school student, gel electrophoresis, which is a procedure where you separate out fragments of DNA based on their size and charge. And eventually I submitted this project for the science fair. What's interesting and is a very common thing in science is I didn't actually get the results I was hoping for. I would normally expect to see bands of DNA on the gel, and mine were very faded and pathetic looking, and I was pretty discouraged and upset. And I went home and thought about it. How can I make this work? I still wanted to enter the science fair. And then I realized, well, I had a lot of trouble extracting the DNA, and I tried 5 different ways of doing it. So instead of looking at genetic diversity, it turned into a project of assessing methods of DNA extraction for this particular species of marsh grass. The night before, I'm changing everything on my poster board to make it match this new theme, and competed starting at the citywide level, and I won first place with that. That was a particularly important year to be competing. The juniors, the prize for first place at the city level was a college scholarship. I won 3rd place in the environmental sciences at the state level as well. And being that involved neck deep in all of this crazy science stuff at 15, 16 years old, that was when I realized I am a scientist now. I'm doing science, and this is the path I want to take for the rest of my life.
Thanks for sharing, Taylor. You've given us a lot of information. You've given me a lot of information I didn't have before. I've really appreciated talking with you.
I have as well. Thank you, Marty.
Alaska Voices builds bridges by creating a space where community members, friends, policymakers, and scientists can share stories and place-based knowledge. This project was developed in partnership with StoryCorps and was funded by the Alaska Climate Adaptation Science Center. Additional funding was provided by the University of Alaska Fairbanks Chancellor through a generous gift from the Bentley Family Trust. If you are interested in more conversations or information, please visit our website at alaskavoices.org.